welcome, and great to see you all. Should I dive in? Perfect. All right. Hey, it's great to be here, everybody. Thanks for joining both virtually and in person. Nice to meet you all. I'm hoping to learn a bit more about XR myself. I don't know a ton about it, but I'm interested in it, and it seems like a very cool area of technology. Anyway, I figured I'd talk a little bit about kind of my journey with AI. It's not new. AI has been around actually since the 1950s. And I've been doing AI stuff for over 20 years. I know it seems, to Matt's point, there's a lot of buzz and hype right now around AI, and everybody's sort of talking about it. And there's a reason for that. There's been a lot of very big jumps in capabilities and technologies and advancements of what AI can do and what people think of as being AI. But one of the things you'll notice, so it was mentioned before, I'm the founder of this company, Y of AI, and AI strategy is sort of all we do, but you'll notice our slogan is turn AI chaos into clarity. And I say that not as a plug for the company, but more to tell you a bit about my background and the journey with AI and why that's even a thing. Because I have a very non-traditional background, but there is one through line throughout. So as I mentioned, I've been doing AI stuff for like over 20 years. I started my career in IndyCar racing, and I don't know how many of you are race fans. Anybody in here? Some. How many of you watch like Drive to Survive, stuff like that? That's become very popular. Okay. Some. So these cars have like 80, 90 sensors on them to measure everything you can imagine, like pressures, temperatures, forces through the suspension, displacements, both linear and angular, airspeed, distance to the ground, and you name it. And when you work in that kind of thing, it's a very frantic, hectic schedule. You're traveling all over the world on 5 different continents, back-to-back races. And even when it's not the racing season, there's normally like 18 races during the season. You're still going to wind tunnels. You're going to what's called a 7 post shaker rig. You're going to other racetracks to do track testing and so on. And in addition to all that data you have from the sensors on the car, you also have qualitative data, like the drivers are constantly telling you about the car and how it's handling and all this sort of stuff. Then you have timing and scoring data and all these things. So and other kinds of data. And so what it becomes is quite a bit of chaos, and there's no time to really make sense of it all and use it to optimize the performance of the car, achieve more wins, which is really the only goal in racing and professional sports, and really make informed decisions. And rather than be reactive, be more proactive. So while most of the teams were drowning in data, including myself early in my career, me and my team were trying to find ways to turn data into like predictive insights, like get ahead of the game and explore different kinds of technologies and techniques to really be proactive, much more proactive, and predict things and know the outcome before it happens, and then make choices in real time on the fly to kind of be at the front and ultimately win races and so on. And so this sort of set me on this journey about trying to learn more about AI and machine learning. I already had a background in advanced mathematics and physics, and so I did that. And then me and my team actually pioneered the use of AI and machine learning in professional motorsports at the time in general. But missed all my summers for way too long. I did racing for about a decade, missed life events, weddings, you name it. So got off the road, decided to go into the tech industry, worked there for a while with some SaaS companies, but then went into consulting. And during that time, ran AI and data science practice in a consulting firm that worked mainly with Fortune 500 companies and tripled in size while I was there. But I over time, I started to work way more with business leaders and decision makers. And there was a big gap out there where there were a lot of people that were practitioners talking about the how and the what of everything and less about the why of it all. Like, why does it matter? Why do you need it? Why don't you need it? Why should you be aware of the risks and figure out how to mitigate those things? And so on. And how do you again turn that like chaos, which we're seeing now? In my case, it was just tons of data and everything moving quickly. But now we see there's tons of different AI developments on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. It's hard to make sense of it all, and it's really hard for businesses and organizations to figure out like what are the right use cases, what is the strategy, how do you identify those use cases, how do you prioritize them, how do you design them, and so on. So that's really been what I've been focusing on for a long time. And sort of everything else I've done all is in that area, whether it's the business. I teach at Kellogg, which is a business school, obviously, as part of the MBAI program, which is a year and a half long full-time MBA earning degree from Kellogg program focused on AI and machine learning. But again, it's like, you know, with everything going on and the impact it's having, sort of everyone needs to have a better understanding now, not just the AI engineers and the ML engineers and the data scientists, like even as business folks, trying to better understand how this all fits in. And yeah, wrote a book on AI published by O'Reilly, again, mainly on AI strategy, focused more than the development side, even though I've spent a lot of time on the very technical side of it as well. But it's great to be here. And, you know, this stuff's moving quick. It's good that you're kind of learning more about it, and I really appreciate Matt and Tom for having me here tonight. It's great to meet everybody. Yep.
I'll stay here. No. You need that. Yeah. So stay right there. Yeah. So you get some Q&A before you get to walk away here. That's, now that we know your background, we get to ask questions about it. So with that said, I'm going to say, do you have any experience really quickly whatsoever with the XR racing simulators?
Good question. And the answer is no, but it sounds awesome. And I wish I did. I have had a bit of experience with simulators and racing. And actually, I used to work at Andretti Autosport and ran their vehicle dynamics and data science program. And I actually was in charge of all simulation for Andretti that supported a four-car IndyCar team, but never XR stuff. I know now they have simulators that drivers go get in, and it's like got mechanicals and dampers, and try and simulate the motion of the track. But I haven't been in one.
Okay, but so you do have simulation experience, like
Tons
the
of
older simulation. Okay.
Oh yeah, with AI actually.
And so
Yeah.
that was the question I was going to ask: is how have you applied like the AI to? As obviously you mentioned
Yeah.
all the data you're getting from the actual vehicles. Have you been doing the same sort of analysis on the data from the drivers and simulators?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So kind of less. So when I was doing this, it was pre those simulators. They were sort of like starting to build them, but they weren't launched yet, and teams weren't yet using them. Now they are, and they pay a lot of money, by the way, they to book time on the simulator. So what we did at the time is we actually, me and my team, we created software essentially that could generate tens of thousands of simulations. So the picture this, right? There's so many different kinds of tracks in a racing schedule. There's short ovals, super speedways, road courses, street courses, and so on. So, and on these cars, they're so infinitely tweakable. You can change everything under the sun: aerodynamic settings, suspension settings, tire stuff, you name it. So what we did is we create programs and dynamic simulations where we can run tens of thousands of simulations for a given car and a given track and given conditions combination. So even different wind and air pressures and everything. And then use the data created by the simulations to then train machine learning models to be able to predict for any given car setup for that combination of track, car, and conditions, what would be the lap time, let's say, what would be the top speed of the car, and so on. So we could figure out which settings of the car would result in the fastest car possible. So that was one of the ways we did that. So we had models
Essentially AI-based digital twins, and you were using AI to test them.
exactly. Yep. And then also I did a lot of stuff with AI to do predictive race strategy. So I was always a race strategist as well throughout my career. I'd be at every race in the pits at the timing stand. And you know, the race strategy, essentially you're trying to figure out in real time, when do you pit, how much fuel to put in the car, what aerodynamic wing angle changes to make, what tires to put on, what tire pressures, and you're coaching the driver on the radio as they're driving on like what tweaks they can make in the cockpit as well. And you also have up to 30, like if it's Indy 500, which I did many times throughout my career, you have 32 other cars that are all running a strategy as well. So you're trying to figure out all those things for your car, but also what your competitors are doing, and trying to like get to the finish line first and win, even if you're not the fastest car on the track, which is where the strategy piece comes in. So like also used AI and machine learning to build predictive tools to try and predict scenarios and almost game out what could happen in the race, and then make decisions on everything I just explained based on that.
All right, so last question, and then we'll get to some other speakers, and you'll come back up for the Q&A from
Yep.
everybody. So one of the things that we've dealt with for a lot of years in the XR space is executives just not really understanding the value, not understanding what it could do, what it couldn't do, following the hype and not necessarily understanding the reality, getting excited about something that looks really cool but may not actually deliver a lot of value and sort of missing out on some of the things that are really valuable that they could do today.
Yeah.
What are the parallels you're seeing for that when it comes to talking to executives about AI? Because obviously there's a ton of hype right now, and I'm sure there's also a lot of people who are believing that it can do things that it can't do and ultimately missing out on the things that it can.
Yeah, I mean, I love that question. It's actually like in the name of my company, why of AI, right? Like, because at the end of the day, it's really about the why. It's the outcomes, the results, the benefits, the value, and different, executives and business leaders measure impact or results differently. Sometimes it's ROI. If it's purely like a monetary focus thing. It's like some sort of ROI measurement or something. But sometimes it could be around efficiencies or it can be around happier customers because happier customers can lead to revenue growth too, right? And lowered retention and all that. I will say that um, when I talked about that through line throughout my experience, that was there. It was always this focus on the why because I worked so much with executives and decision makers and business leaders, where I realized like it's like know your audience thing, and so to put it in the example of AI specifically, let's say some company or executive is trying to figure out how to reduce customer churn. At the end of the day, they honestly don't give a crap whether you build a classifier using naive Bayes, logistic regression, neural networks, support vector machines, blah, blah, blah. Irrelevant. The only question is, does it or does it not reduce customer churn and by how much? And how much will it cost me to invest in it? And how quick can I see some of those results, right? It doesn't matter how you get there. It's like the result. So I think it does matter if you're the ML engineer or the AI researcher or the data scientist for sure, but the executives, it's the result.